Ah yes, Halloween, also known as Spooked. What a better opportune moment to talk about the most traumatic and horrifying experiences during my childhood that made me the schizophrenic person that I am today. Which scary and traumatic experiences I'm referring to, I don't hear you asking?
Well, I'll tell you.
Here are my top 10 scariest and traumatic childhood moments. Number 10. Goosebumps, The Werewolf of Fever Swamp, and The Night of the Living Puppets Parts 1 through 3. Ah, Goosebumps. What a good series of books to read for the 90s kids, even though I was a kid growing up in the 2000s, but I guess that makes the books timeless. The TV show, however...
Do you see that opening in those rocks? The ghost lives up there.
Yeah, it was kinda lame, and a bit corny due to its TV show budget. But I thought it was cool how at the beginning of every episode, you'd see the man, the myth, and the I Am Legend himself, R.L. Stine, the writer for the books, always making an appearance. But from my recount, there were some episodes of the show that kept me up at night as a kid, specifically these two episodes. But before I can delve into the horrors, we're going to be doing some story time. When I was around the 2nd or 3rd grade, my art teacher showed us the werewolf episode of Goosebumps, and my impression of it was overall surreal since you don't really see the werewolf throughout the whole episode. It just gave me these eerie vibes, almost as if...
Did you hear that? I heard that.
And back then, when I watched it, the setting literally looked like where I used to live, especially around the fall season. Then you have the puppet episodes. Yes, I know that I'm cheating by adding 2 things onto the number 10 slot, but unlike the werewolf episode where you barely see him and feel this dread in the atmosphere, you wish that you didn't see the puppet as much. On my list, there will be things that'll have an uncanny valley element to it, where a lifelike figure bears human features, which gives off uneasy vibes. It's much like how some people get creeped out by animatronics, or so do you think. But back onto the episodes. As a kid, I just didn't like how Slappy can just turn other people into puppets, reanimate other puppets, and that's about...
I can explain.
Well, I had nightmares where I would kill him off, much like how Chucky dies in Child's Play 3, only for Slappy to come back in another dream. So nobody will ever encourage me to go to see a matinee show featuring a puppet with no strings attached anytime soon.
Perimeter breach. Perimeter breach.
Number 9. Now, here's something that I figured you guys should know.
I like trains.
But not this much.
I just wanted a piece of Percy's ass, you feel me? You know, I just wanted a piece of that helicopter's ass.
Don't get me wrong, with the recent creepy meme imagery of Thomas the Tank Engine, it makes you wonder how we've gone this far into our society without being derailed like a train wreck. That is until you've watched the Thomas the Tank Engine Chills and Spills. Now picture, if you will, at one point in time, you were a huge fan of Thomas the Tank Engine, where you were playing with your toys until you watched this tape late at night. That's when I entered the spooky zone. Now the tape already has 4 other episodes that vary on the spooky meter. That is until they go hard in on the smoke machine. But there is one episode that really traumatized little 5-year-old me. The episode titled, Duncan Gets Spooked. You know we're into something with a title like that. The episode starts with some freight cars detaching themselves to cause some mischief, and it results with them plummeting into a ravine from the tall bridge. To me, it's an amazing bridge scene that would make Vin Diesel cry, despite the fact that we don't know what caused them to fall off, so we're already off to a great start. After that incident, another train engine named Rusty then tells a story to Duncan involving that bridge.
A long time ago, a little engine was returning home. It was a misty, moonlit night. Suddenly, the engine lost control and plunged over the side into the swamps below. He was never found again, but Many a workman will tell you that when the moon is full, they have seen the little engine trying to get home. But he never reaches the other side. So what do you think of that, Duncan?
Yeah, so besides the nightmare fuel, this episode really made me terrified of Thomas for a little bit. With the framing, lighting, and motif of the scene, it really kept me up late at night once or twice.
However,
the following scene doesn't hold up as well when the main character of the episode goes to the same bridge late that night and before it's shown that his conductors are gonna pull a prank on Duncan.
Oh my dude, you just got pranked! Bet you didn't see that one coming, huh?
Maybe if we were told afterwards that the conductors were going to be pulling a fast one on Duncan, it would have been better, but then again, it probably would have scared me even more as a kid. And when looking back to the show, I was surprised that there was a difference between the US and the UK versions, with the UK having fricking Ringo Starr doing all the voiceovers, and the US having Alec Baldwin. I wonder how Alec felt that he was stuck voicing the show for 2 seasons and being heavily involved in the movie. I just hope that there wasn't a prop gun on set for him to play with.
Oh, and you were doing so well up until then. And I think this one's loaded. You want to find out?
Number 8. About as great as I think Toy Story 1 is with its early CGI for the time, the only couple of things that I thought were off-putting was the character model for Andy's baby sister, and yeah, speaking about babies, that baby head character really got to me as a kid, and that's mainly due to the uncanny valley that I mentioned before. And we're just touching the surface here, since you have the rest of Sid's toys that look like they were spawned from Pinhead's closet.
Who you calling Pinhead?
I know the whole point of Sid's toys was to raise our expectations, since in the film, Woody and the toys were afraid of Sid, let alone his own toys, so of course they subvert our expectations, and were ultimately harmless until you get to the 3rd act. Regardless, I know now that I should treat my toys, and even other people's toys, with the same respect.
I'm kinda new at this toy thing, but something tells me we aren't supposed to do that.
oh, what harm could it have done, Buzz? Just screwed him up for the rest of his life, that's all.
Number 7. Boy, Nintendo sure do make nothing but baby games.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Okay, at some point in time, Nintendo used to make some of the creepiest moments in most of their classic video games. Oh, look at the cute Pokemon.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
I mean, oh man, look at this innocent and quirky game Earthbound. But in all seriousness, I could probably make another top 10 video for the scariest Nintendo moments, but that'll be a video for another time. So if I can only pick one, I would probably say Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Now, to be clear, this is coming from a person who hasn't played the game, but only watched it while my brother was playing, when we were both around the age of 5 or 6. Since we were both dumb kids at the time, my brother didn't know how to advance the game, so that meant we would keep getting game overs from the Oh, Jesus. So anyway, that meant my brother had to keep replaying the opening cutscene of the game, and man, that intro. With the way how Skull Kid toyed with Link and eventually gives him the Deku mask through a nightmarish sequence. As a kid, this really horrified me, and even though I only watched my brother play Majora's Mask a couple of times, I recall that he wouldn't finish the game because we were dumb kids, but not as stupid as Skullface. Yeah, put on that mask and see what happens, you scrawny scarecrow looking mother... Number 6. Surprisingly, growing up, I wasn't too creeped out by Invader Zim's art style when it was made by the same guy, Jonan Vasquez, who also created Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Much like Goosebumps, only 2 episodes really stuck with me, one of them being the Bestest Friends episode. You know the scene. Yeah, not much to say about that episode except for the ending, but I do have another episode on my list that I thought was creepier. Dark Harvest. Probably one of the darkest episodes, where Zim wants to be more human by taking other people's organs, with Zim replacing them with stuff. Fun fact, that kid, by the way, is voiced by Jason Marsden, who voiced various characters like Richie Foley from Static Shock and Max from A Goofy Movie.
My best friend's gone because of you and your stupid racism. I hate you!
Number 5. Who isn't a fan of Cowboy Bebop?
That was rhetorical!
Well, besides that, a better question would be, what makes Cowboy Bebop scary? Apart from the horrible Netflix live-action show.
Sounds to me like blackmail.
Damn right it is, because Jack, you are black and you are man.
Oh, hell no!
My introduction to the series was by staying up late watching Toonami reruns around 2012. Well, my 11 or 12-year-old self got to experience this episode.
Hello, gentlemen. I journeyed here in order to take your lives.
Yeah, at the time I was creeped out by this episode, unlike our main protagonist, Spike the bounty hunter, who kills guys and doesn't afraid of anything. We don't even know the Mad Pierre's true name, only his backstory of him being experimented on to enhance him both genetically and physically, which is probably why he acts like a child, as he just enjoys killing people for the fun of it. Other than that, I don't want to talk too much about the episode. This one pulls out all the punches, much like every other episode of this badass show.
Yay!
Number 4. So right around the time Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End was available to watch on cable television. What's cable television? Be quiet! It was around the summertime and my family was going out on vacation, but everywhere was booked except for this dingy looking trailer that we rented. Which, by the way, it was out in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere. Then it finally dawned on me that we were going to be sleeping there until it was pitch black inside and out, except for the movie that we were watching, which was Rob Zombie's Halloween 1. And while I can say that I haven't seen the original 1978 Halloween film at the time, I wish I did instead of watching Rob Zombie's Halloween. Considering how great the performances and camera shots there are in the original film, boy, I'm certain that watching the original would have fucked me up even more as a kid. But when I went back to rewatching Zombie Rob's version in its entirety, I can safely say that this movie still sucks all these years later. Given the fact that by the time we were watching the movie on TV, it was almost over. But oh my god, that third act. Not that I'm saying that the film is worth viewing because of its ending, since that's taking into consideration that the movie goes too hard in diving into Michael Myers' backstory. As a dumb kid growing up, I was freaked out with how you could be minding your own business at home and then... Number 3. At number 3, we have Courage the Cowardly Dog. Now on the surface level, this show isn't all that scary, but growing up I've started to notice this kids show had a lot of creepy moments that really stuck with me. And the major factor to this being the show used mixed animation media, which Courage had a lot of. So it shouldn't be the biggest surprise that to me the scariest episode of Courage was King Ramses' Curse. It wasn't so much of the early CG that spooked me out, it's the fact that the creator of the show, John R. Dilworth, said that they purposefully animated it poorly just to give him this unnatural feeling to it. Now the curses themselves that our boy Ramsey keeps bringing up aren't anything special, it's just Ramsey keeps coming back in between each curse, and the less I see of him the better. But fun fact, they base his character design and art style off of, well, I'll let John explain it.
King Ramses was designed by my brother Jim, my late brother Jim, and there was a great video one time about some dog or something. It was music, and when he turned around, he was just flat.
Just because the rhythm is slow, that don't mean that you can't flow.
I don't know, I guess it was in CG, but they handled him like he was paper. I just love that, and so we tried it there.
Number 2. Now let me ask you guys another question.
No, I think we've had enough of your jokes.
What do you get when you have a suspenseful atmosphere of the first Alien movie with the action from the second Alien movie, Aliens, and you combine both of them into a first-person shooter? Actually, you get
Jenkins!
Halo Combat Evolved. Now here you have this first-person shooter that has you playing missions in tight corridors to a big sandbox for the player to enjoy.
However,
things get different once you're at the 6th mission, specifically 343 Guilty Spark. You know you're in for a treat when the mission description reads out, creep through a swamp to meet the only enemy the Covenant fear the most. Then once you're finally playing the mission, you notice things just seem a little off. You see the opening cutscene of the Covenant running away from something, and once you're finally at the base, you see an elevator already coming up to your location before you press the button to call for it. Next you see blood and dead bodies all over the place. In a first-person shooter, when you're not the one that did all of that, you know things have gone awry. And then you get up to the deranged Marine who shoots at you and spits out this.
Stay back! Stay back! You're not turning me into one of those things! I'll blow your brains out! Get away from me! Don't touch me, you freaks! I won't be like you, I'll die first! Find your own hiding place, the monsters are everywhere! Play dead! That's what I did! Play dead! They took the live ones. Oh god, I can still hear them. Monsters! Just leave me alone! There goes Sandy. Oh god, the things took them.
And then you finally get all of your answers when the Master Chief inspects the helmet cam of Private Jenkins.
Right, well, let's get this door open.
I'll try, sir, but it looks like these Covenant worked pretty hard to lock it down.
Just do it, son.
Yes, sir. Got a bad feeling about this.
Boy, you always got a bad feeling about
Captain,
something.
Starr, can you hear me?
What's going on, soldier?
He's got contact. Lots of them. But they're not coming. They're just tearing through us. What the? Oh no!
Corporal, do you copy? Over. Mendoza, get your ass back up to second squad's position and find out what the hell is going on. But I don't have time for your lip, soldier. I gave you an order.
Sarge, listen.
What is that?
Where's that coming from, Mendoza?
I don't... There! Mira!
Hold still! Hold still! Let him have it!
Sergeant, we're surrounded!
God damn it, Jenkins! Fire your weapon!
There are too many, Sarge!
Don't even think about it, Marine.
Oh, this is local!
Get back here, Marine! That's an order!
In summation, the Flood are essentially parasitic creatures that want to consume all forms of life across the galaxy. With this being my introduction to the Flood, they've always scared me as a kid, Now, all the other Flood missions in the Halo trilogy weren't so scary, with the exception of the second to last level of Halo 3, because other than that, it'd be a blast playing through some of the horrific levels, playing as a badass.
Get the hell away from me! Woo!
Number 1. Before I show you my number 1 spot, let me just give you a sound sample. Oh wait, I'm on YouTube post 2014, where I can't play music for more than 5 seconds. Let's just get to the point. It's Jaws. Much like my actual fear of being in uncharted territory of the ocean, this is where I started to get nightmares of being in shark-infested waters. Even though I'm nowhere near any bodies of salt water, I just get nervous when I'm out at the beach and your mind plays tricks on you, making you think you actually see a
Shark!
As we all know, sharks rarely attack humans until that fear sets in when you hear about shark attacks in the US or around the world. Then I'll be all like,
Smile, you son of a...
Fun fact, when watching the movie for a film class back in high school, there were students who haven't seen the movie at all, which made it better when we got to my favorite scene, where the whole class was caught off guard. And there you have it, my top 10 horrific and traumatic childhood moments. I can't think of any more off the top of my head for some honorable mentions, but you never know. Maybe I'm keeping it in my head for another video, or for therapy. But yeah, tell me what your guys' horrific and traumatic childhood moments are in the comments section. Also, check out my Bare Bones Patreon page so that way I can hopefully do this YouTube thing full time. My Twitter and Twitch are also in the video description. Other than that, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace!